Well, the COVID-19 pandemic relief opened the Pandora's box for one of this generation's biggest fraudulent schemes besides FTX, bank fraud. Countless people have been arrested in multiple states across America for swindling millions of dollars, billions of dollars in relief funds. Most recently being in California. A man has now been arrested for such a crime. Back in 2021, Mustafa Qadiri pled guilty to aggravated identity theft and money laundering after spending COVID-19 relief loans that he obtained illegally to buy a Ferrari, a Bentley, and a Lamborghini. You see them here. Since then, authorities have confiscated the sports cars and recouped the $2 million in cash from his bank accounts. But how did Mustafa Qadiri and many others manage to pull this type of stunt off? According to reports, it was done in 2020 through the use of the COVID relief plan known as Paycheck Protection Programs, PPP, where Qadiri fraudulently obtained $5 million by filing applications on behalf of 4 separate Newport Beach companies that were defunct at the time. So on Friday, Qadiri was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. And he probably won't be the last to be thrown in the slammer for this same crime, because to put it all into perspective, federal officers estimate that at least $191 billion in pandemic unemployment claims were stolen or improperly distributed. Joining me now is founder and CEO of Celebrity Motorcars, Tom Maoli. Tom, billions of dollars have been stolen, defrauded from the American taxpayer for things like this to buy luxury sports cars. Do you think we're ever gonna find out just how much money that exactly was, or do you think we'll recover the majority of that money?
No, it's outrageous. I mean, listen, clearly everybody was in a panic. We were in the middle of a pandemic, but I have to tell you, it was outrageous what was going on. I mean, the government was just handing out money to everyone without checking, and banks were giving out money through the PPP program. And it's outrageous that people would do this. I mean, there's businesses that operate legitimately, like my own Celebrity Motor Car, and we got PPP money, but we used it to keep the employees on and keep them employed. And I think the number is staggering, and you're never going to recover it all.
Yeah. It really is a nightmare just how much money we're given, not just in PPP loans. You can understand that, right? People needed to keep their employees paid. Some people obviously didn't need the money but took it anyways. Heck, if the government's going to give you a paycheck, why turn it down? But another aspect were the stimulus checks these were also defrauded widely. Millions, billions of dollars of stimulus checks. And again, many people who didn't need it were getting these checks, several checks a year. This was just an economic catastrophe. What impact do you think that had on what we're seeing today and with the economic turmoil?
Astronomical. It's billions. And if you look at some of the reports that are out there, and I've read some papers on it, this is what's keeping the economy going right now. If you look at we're in an inflationary period, people are struggling, their mortgage rates have adjusted, car payments have adjusted, but what's keeping the economy going right now is that stimulus money that people are still living off of. And unfortunately, there was a lot of fraud involved.
Yeah. Well, I want to get to another article that I think shows some consequences of this whole pandemic. This is from Bloomberg. Remote work costs New York City $12 billion a year through killing big offices. They write Manhattan workers are spending at least $12.4 billion less every year due to about 30% fewer days in the office. The average worker is spending $4,661 less dollars per year on meals, shopping, entertainment near their offices in New York, which compares to $3,040 in San Francisco, $2,300 in Chicago. Tom, do you see this as a good thing or a bad thing? Because on one hand, the economy in New York City is taking a hit, but on the other hand, New Yorkers are saving several $1,000s a year.
Yeah, but this is a systemic problem. This is, when 9/11 hit, it was just a blip in the radar. It was a disruption in people's lives. But this is a systemic problem. You have REITs that are turning in keys to office buildings because they're not full anymore and they can't pay their mortgages. And add to a shift in a dynamic in the way people are working. You got technology out there like Zoom and Skype that are eating into office, the requirement for office space, because you can work from home, you can Zoom, you can have a meeting without even getting on an airplane. So yeah, these cities are taking a hit, and unless there's a shift in the way that people do business, it's going to take years to recover. And that's why when you look at the suburbs are booming. You come to New Jersey, and there's apartments and being built everywhere, and there's a housing shortage because people are now living at home, and they're staying closer to home.
Do you think I've seen images, videos of places like San Francisco that are becoming more and
Yes.
more like a ghost town now during
Yeah.
the day when everyone is working, because now so many people are working remote. Do you think that is the future? Offices are going to become a thing of the past, or do you think they'll make a comeback?
Listen, I everything comes back around again, but it's going to take years to absorb that vacancy rate that's out there. And I think it's a global shift in the way people do business now. And I'm not so sure that it's going to come back as fast as we think it is. These major cities are hurting big time, and if you look what's going on, because of all that, the crime rates are skyrocketing because there's no protection, there's no people on the streets. I was in New York City on Christmas Eve, and it was a ghost town. So this is going on around the country, and I don't think that it's going to come back that quickly.
Yeah, well, call me old-fashioned, but I certainly hope it comes back to office space work. I think it's
Yeah,
important. Get out of the
yeah,
house, see some faces.
and
Go ahead.
and I agree. But you know what? Listen, I'm a new car dealer, and we're seeing it on the car side.
Hmm.
People are just not putting as many miles on their cars as they did before. They're not driving to work. They're going back and forth to the supermarket and taking their kids to school. But that piece of the business is gone. It's evaporated because they're not driving to work anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this is going to play out in coming
Yes.
years, how the market is going to adapt and pivot as we move forward. Tom
Well,
Maoli from Celebrity Motor Cars, great to have you on the show. Thank you for being
great
here.
to see you. Thanks for having me.